Welcome to the Saturday edition of the Fbx Evening News. Today is February 9th, 2013. Leading our news tonight. As Alaska State Troopers continue their investigation into the death of a 13-year-old girl in the small southeast community of Cake, the brutal murder of Mackenzie Howard is having far-reaching effects around the state and into the lower 48. Late Friday evening, simultaneously held candlelight vigils were held in honor of the slain girl. News Center 11's Daryl Lewis attended one such vigil held on the UAF campus.
Thanks and good evening. The murder of a 13-year-old girl from the small southeast Alaskan community of Cake is having a reverberating effect all around the state.
You are the King of all creation. We love you and we worship you. And Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to gather here to lift up a family in prayer and to remember a wonderful young lady. And found was blind, but now I see.
They gathered, lit candles, sang songs, and prayed. Many in attendance at the Fairbanks Vigil honoring the memory of Mackenzie Howard readily admitted they did not know the young girl or her family. But many attended with children of their own, hugging them a little tighter and synonymous in their way of thinking about this tragic happening.
It just breaks my heart. You know, I don't know the family personally. My husband's from Cake, so I don't really know them personally, but I can't imagine what they're going through. Like, just thinking of my little own girl, you know, just makes me want to cry, thinking, you know, what if that was her?
It's unimaginable to me. It's really hard to fathom that somebody would do this to an innocent young person, a baby. As a mother of my own daughter, I just can't imagine.
But others who were there knew the family, and the outpouring of grief, as one could imagine, went without saying.
I'm very hurt. I'm outraged. My heart breaks for her mom and dad. I know Kip and Marla, they're beautiful people, great parents. Mackenzie was a beautiful little girl. And I couldn't imagine. I couldn't.
The community of Cake was already reeling from the passing of a well-respected elder, and ironically, many had been in town to lay him to rest the same day Mackenzie's body was found. I spoke exclusively with Cake City Manager Rudy Bean, also a very close family friend. Bean put into perspective the tragedy itself and a community wanting someone to pay.
The community is hungry for someone to get put behind bars right now. Remember when the investigation is still going on, Daryl, and yeah, the community's on edge.
Now, late Friday, results of an autopsy came back detailing just how the young girl died, but that information is currently being withheld. What remains is a family devastated and people all around the state and down into the lower 48 asking why.
It's extremely tragic. You know, there's nothing but sorrow. You know, it's been a pretty tough week when we bury an elder, but then have to, you know, continue our sorrow with the loss of such a young girl. Yeah, a baby. And so it's been a lot of heartbreak over the last 2 weeks. So we've had a lot of sadness.
In other news, a local grand jury has formally indicted a 39-year-old man from the interior village of Hughes, who is in jail accused of sexually abusing a 4-year-old girl. According to Alaska State Troopers, Brian Sam is charged with a single count of sexual abuse of a minor in the 2nd degree. Troopers arrested Sam and Hughes after their investigation revealed the alleged assault. He's being held at the Fairbanks Correctional Center under a nil bail status. His next court appearance is set for Tuesday. A House panel has advanced what's known as a Stand Your Ground bill. House Bill 24 would expand people's rights to use deadly force as a means of self-defense. Representative Mark Newman has tried to pass the bill multiple times in recent years without success. The committee also gave a public chance to weigh in on House Bill 69. That bill by House Speaker Mike Chenault would make it a felony for federal officials or agents to try to enforce any new restrictions on gun ownership. Chenault initially proposed making it a misdemeanor, but the latest version of his bill strengthens that penalty. The bill has garnered broad support from House Republicans. On Friday, 5 separate pieces of legislation dealing with state-federal relationships were on the legislature's agenda. The Alaska House has unanimously passed legislation that would change terms like mentally retarded in state laws. House Bill 88 passed 34-0 and now goes to the Senate. Supporters of the change say that the term has been used to degrade or insult people with intellectual disabilities. The measure from Anchorage Representative Charisse Millette would replace mentally retarded and mental retardation with terms such as intellectual and developmental disabilities. When we come back, a Colorado man has been fined for shooting a sheep in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, and the Fairbanks-based Alaska Native Corporation Doyon Limited plans to drill a second well in the Nenana Basin. We'll have those stories and much more when the weekend's only televised news broadcast returns. Stay with us.
This edition of the Fairbanks Evening News is brought to you by Bailey's Furniture, voted 7 times Alaska's best furniture store.
Welcome back. A Colorado man has been fined $10,000 and banned from hunting for a year for transporting an unlawfully taken Dall sheep back in 2008. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Thomas McGann pled guilty Friday. His sentence requires he forfeit the sheep. McGann admitted to shooting an undersized sheep in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. McGann's master guide outfitter, Joe Hendricks, advised McGann to shoot the sheep, mistakenly believing it was legal size. After the kill, they saw one horn was broken. Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen Cooper says Hendricks altered the unbroken horn to hide that it was under the minimum size. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the assistant guide who called the shot is under indictment. The Fairbanks-based Alaska Native Corporation Doyon Limited is planning to dig a second well in the Nenana Basin, which is estimated to hold 1 trillion to 6 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. The corporation is currently in process of extending a road 12 miles west of Nenana to reach the drill site. With that, they say they are extending the road 9 miles west from the original site. The first well tapped a 3,000-acre area, and the results showed an active petroleum system in the area, although not enough to make a development project economically viable in the immediate vicinity. The plans for the second well are similar to the first. Crews will drill down about 12,000 feet in search of natural gas. Drilling is expected to begin in mid-June. A man who said he intended to sell heroin to pay back money he owed his grandmother is facing robbery and drugs charges. Jason O'Brien faces a 6-count indictment along with co-defendant James Cook. Alaska State Troopers say a woman told police O'Brien robbed her of $500 in the Red Fox parking lot on January 30th. Troopers interviewing Cook learned that he drove O'Brien to the parking lot. He said he briefly left the vehicle, and when he returned, O'Brien ran towards him, told him that he had just committed a robbery, and urged him to drive away quickly. When interviewed by troopers, O'Brien said he went to the parking lot to get some heroin he was going to sell to pay back money he owed his grandmother. A Senate panel says Alaska's oil tax structure has likely contributed to advancing the decline of oil production in the state. But the committee isn't embracing Governor Sean Parnell's proposal for overhauling the system. Parnell has proposed changes aimed at making Alaska more competitive and encouraging new production. His plan would eliminate the progressive surcharge companies say is distinctive to new investment and gear incentives toward companies that would produce new oil on the North Slope. A letter of intent from the panel says most of the committee's members have concerns with Parnell's approach that would have to be addressed before they could support the bill. The panel is recommending lawmakers evaluate applying a proposed tax break to existing fields and using progressivity to level the proportion of state tax. And marking this week, the centennial anniversary of its achievement in early June, a team of descendants of the original expedition to first climb Mount McKinley successfully will attempt to perform the same climb this spring. Named the Denali 2013 Centennial Climb, Dana Wright, Ken Carsons, Ryan Schooneman, Dan Hopkins, and Mark Latime will begin their ascent this June 7th, 100 years after their forebears reached Denali's summit. Wright is the great-grandnephew of Walter Harper, the 21-year-old Athabascan who was the first person on Denali's Peak. Carsons and Schooneman are great-grandsons of Harry Carson, who was second on the mountain and a team leader. Hopkins is the great-great-nephew of Episcopal Archdeacon Hudson Stuck, and Latime is the Episcopal Bishop of Alaska. He plans to hold a Eucharist on the mountain and honor the memory of Stuck. Members of the team were at a press conference this week, calling it an honor to be part of it all.
The mountain was always really important to my mother and to our family, and then to me. So I didn't know other people felt the same way. I had no idea. until we started emailing and talking on the phone. We were almost completing each other's sentences about this experience, about this event that happened 100 years ago that shaped our lives. I mean, really, it shaped our lives. It had a profound effect on us.
Dara Lewis is anxiously waiting in the wings with your sports report. Mr. Lewis will return in just a moment. Stay tuned.
And welcome back, Interior Alaska. Daryl Lewis in the house on a Saturday evening. Hope everyone's all right. Now, I'll get to my guy, Tyler Huntington, in just a bit. First off, I've kind of torn between these two when they lock horns. Now, I'm from Columbus, Ohio, still bleeding Buckeye, scarlet, and gray. But my alma mater, the University of Alaska, Fairbanks. So I represent Nanook blue and gold, too. Now, the two met again in the beginning of a two-game series, hockey-wise, at the Carlson Center last night. And the hometown Nanooks had absolutely no love for my Buckeyes, busting out the whooping stick to the tune of a 6-1 victory. Both teams were back in action again tonight. Now, Joe Cook will have a complete wrap on Monday. And over at the Patty Center, women's college basketball Saturday, and the Nanook women still on the lookout for that first conference win, taking on the Lady Falcons of Seattle Pacific. And the visitors having none of that. Final score, 87-71. Switching gears, high school basketball, and over at Hutchinson High School this weekend, Hawks versus Hawks. Yeah, you know, Galena Hawks invading the nest of the Hutchinson Hawks. Ladies up first, and the host, two-time defending Aurora Conference champions, and the visitors defending 3A girls state champions. You know it's going down. The Galena girls held off a late Hutchinson charge to claim a 50-45 win. After rolling out to a 30-21 halftime lead, the hometown Hawks used the fourth quarter to make their comeback attempt. Sarah Buchanan connected for 15 points, and Sharissa Johnson added 10 to lead the Galena girls' offensive attack. Johnson bearing a crucial three late to seal the deal. Galena escapes with the win. Kind of got a rivalry going on around here, and talk to me about getting a good win in a hostile environment.
I'm a little too excited.
What were the keys to victory?
Just listening to my coach. She's one of the best coaches I've ever had this year, and I thank her for everything.
And you gotta love that. The Galena boys used a 28-18 run in the second quarter to take a 10-point halftime lead and pulled away in the second half. Now, Curtis Richardson hit 4 3-pointers and scored 24 points to lead the way for Galena. Sonny Kruger added 22 points for the winners, and Edwin Erickson nailed down 15. Every Galena player scored. Now, Darren Silas, as usual, led Hutchinson with 19 points and need just 6 points to reach the 1,000-point mark in his career. He'll get that tonight when Galena and Hutchinson meet again at the Hutch. Michael Benson added 16 points for Hutch, and Daniel Page tallied 13. Galena Hawks run away with the win, 77-62, to complete the Galena Hawks sweep of Hutchinson. Afterwards, I talked to Richardson, who says their focus all week in practice had been about containing the high-scoring Silas.
We did a good job. That was our focus in practice this past week.
What was
to shut them down. We worked on defenses to shut them down this last practice, this last weekend. Yeah.
So you're not going to shut him down completely, but make him uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah. Frustrate him. Do what we can. You know?
All right. And what were the keys to victory, man?
We controlled the whole game. We controlled the tempo. We forced them into turnovers, and we hit both sides of the floor. We drove the gaps when they were there. We didn't try to force anything.
And finally, tonight, we bring you part 2 of my exclusive interview with Tyler Huntington, the 2-time Iron Dog winner. Now, as first mentioned, this is his first interview since his training accident in late January along the Bering Sea coast. And while we're used to seeing him on a snow machine or racing a boat, doing something, on crutches and recovering is what he's doing for the time being. Now, while training for the 2013 Iron Dog race, Huntington, who says he was traveling an estimated 80 to 90 miles per hour, hit a piece of driftwood and was thrown from his snow machine. He required surgery after being medevaced to Anchorage with serious injuries. Now, after 9 days in the hospital, he was released and this week returned home to Fairbanks. Unfortunately, Huntington will miss this year's race, which gets underway next weekend. But Huntington says just being here to tell his story, the main thing.
you know, when it happened, and then I started looking around and started realizing what was going on, then I started worrying that I was, internal bleeding was you know, I had that in my mind that I could be bleeding out inside, and that was kind of scary, but I just hung on with everything I had, you know.
Finally got to Anchorage about 10 o'clock that night, and we didn't hear anything until the next day, until he went into surgery.
Pretty tense hours, huh?
Yes. And everybody was calling my house and calling my work, calling my cell phone. It was just too much for me, so I ended up going down to Anchorage on Thursday.
Now, I'll have more with Tyler as the Iron Dog draws nearer, and we wish him a speedy recovery as well. On the Yukon Quest Trail, the first mushers reached Circle earlier today. Alan Moore rode into town first with Hugh Neff hot on his tail. And that's all I've got for us Saturday. Glad you could roll with me for a spell. For more KTVF sports, log on to Twitter, YouTube, webcenter11.com, and download our mobile app. But for now, don't go anywhere. Holly's back with the rest of your weekend weather and your early work week weather forecast. She's next. We'll see ya.
I'm on the desk alone tonight, so we're going to get right into weather. Here's our almanac for today. It shows a normal high of 7 degrees and a normal low of 14 below. The record high was set in 1980 at 39 degrees, and the record low of 50 below was set in 1936. The sun rose this morning at 9:10 a.m. and will set tonight around 5:04 p.m. It's going to give us 7 hours and 54 minutes of daylight, a 6-minute gain since yesterday. This is weather around our great state today. Fort Yukon is mostly cloudy with wind chill making it feel like 35 below. Barrow is currently in an active wind chill advisory with mostly cloudy skies. Nome is overcast with some snow showers, as is Fairbanks. Healy is in an active wind advisory with partly cloudy skies and up to 35-mile-per-hour wind. Juneau is overcast today with rain. Ketchikan is also overcast with a chance of rain. There's an active blizzard warning for Bethel today with up to 4 inches of snow possible for them. Coal Bay is in an active winter storm warning with up to 40-mile-per-hour winds. Kodiak looks overcast today with rain and snow showers and up to 25-mile-per-hour wind. Homer is overcast today as well with rain and snow showers projected in up to 40-mile-per-hour winds. Valdez could see up to 6 inches of snow today as they experience an active blizzard warning. Anchorage is seeing a high wind advisory with rain and snow showers and up to 30-mile-per-hour wind. On to the lower 48. Seattle is partly cloudy with winds below 5 miles per hour, highs in the high 40s. Las Vegas is mostly cloudy with a chance of rain and 15-mile-per-hour wind, highs in the mid-50s. Billings is mostly cloudy today with a chance of snow and 20-mile-per-hour winds. They could see up to 1 inch of snow accumulation. Dallas is overcast with a chance of rain and thunderstorms, highs in the mid-50s. Chicago is in an active freezing rain advisory with wind chill making it feel like 20 degrees. Miami is partly cloudy with highs in the low 80s, and New York, seeing the brunt of Winter Storm Nemo, is clear at the moment with wind chill at 10 degrees and 30-mile-per-hour wind. Back in Alaska, Fort Yukon and Nome are expected to see overcast skies and snow showers tomorrow. Nome could see up to 2 inches of snow accumulation. Barrow will continue its wind chill advisory with wind chill making it feel like 50 below. Fairbanks will continue seeing snow showers into tomorrow with overcast skies. Healy will continue its wind advisory with overcast skies, snow showers, and up to 30-mile-per-hour wind. Juneau and Ketchikan will both experience overcast skies with rain tomorrow, highs in the 30s for them. The blizzard warning will continue for Bethel with another 2 inches of snow expected. Cold Bay's winter storm warning will continue as well with up to 35-mile-per-hour wind. Kodiak will see mostly cloudy skies tomorrow with a chance of snow and up to 40-mile-per-hour wind. Anchorage and Valdez will each see overcast skies tomorrow with rain and snow showers. 5 inches of snow accumulation is possible for Valdez. Homer is expected to see mostly cloudy skies with a chance of snow and 30-mile-per-hour wind. And we'll get a little bit of wind as well, but not that much. 16 degrees is our overnight low tonight, which looks pretty nice to me. Partly cloudy skies and up to 15-mile-per-hour wind. Tomorrow, the snowfall will continue with a high in the 30s. That's right, folks. It is shaping up to be a pretty spectacular February. But you shouldn't count your chickens before they hatch, because we really are only in the beginning of February. We'll start off our extended forecast with a double-digit day and a low in the negatives. Foggy skies will dominate the majority of the week, but we won't dip down much lower than 15 below until I see you back here next Saturday. And that's going to wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We're really glad you could join us. Join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime at webcenter11.com. From all of us here at the News Center, have a great night.